There comes a moment when you realize something painful. You have not always been treated according to your value. You have often been treated according to what you are willing to accept. For years, a woman may call her behavior loving. She gives endless chances. She answers immediately, even when others ignore her for days. She explains her needs repeatedly. She tries to prove that she is understanding, undemanding, and easy to love. But underneath all that giving is a bargain she can barely admit to herself. If I make myself useful enough, forgiving enough, and small enough, perhaps I will finally be chosen. If you recognize yourself in her, understand this. You are never low value. Your behavior came from a diminished identity, a version of you created to survive rejection, abandonment, or disapproval. Carl Jung called this socially acceptable identity the persona, the mask you develop to gain belonging and approval. The persona is not inherently false. Everyone needs one to function in the world. But when you mistake the mask for your whole identity, you begin abandoning everything that does not fit it. Your anger becomes unacceptable. Your standards become selfish. Your intuition becomes irrational. Your desire becomes dangerous. Your ability to say no becomes cruel. And so, you push these qualities into the shadow. Jung believed the shadow contains the parts of ourselves that consciousness refuses to claim. It holds qualities you have judged, feared, or learned to suppress. But what you bury does not disappear. It continues influencing your choices from beneath the surface. A woman who suppresses her power does not become powerless. She becomes disconnected from her power, and because she cannot consciously possess it, she may begin projecting it onto other people. Perhaps you're drawn to confidence because you have disowned your own. Perhaps you chase emotional unavailability because it mirrors the part of yourself you cannot reach. Perhaps you become fascinated by people who are decisive, mysterious, or self-contained because they seem to carry something you have lost. What you call attraction may sometimes be recognition. You may be seeing your unlived self walking around in someone else. This is where dark feminine energy enters, not as manipulation, cruelty, or a performance designed to control men, but as the return of the qualities you are taught to fear in yourself. The dark feminine is your capacity to discern, to withdraw, to tolerate being misunderstood, to let consequences speak where explanations have failed, to remain connected to yourself even when someone threatens to leave. Owning this energy does not make you cold. It makes you whole. The shift begins when you stop auditioning for love. You no longer rush to prove that you are different from every other woman. You do not compete for inconsistent attention. You stop confusing anxiety with chemistry. You no longer treat another person's indecision as a challenge you must overcome. Most importantly, you stop asking, "How can I make them recognize my value?" You begin asking, "Why am I trying to convince someone who benefits from not seeing it?" That question changes everything. Acting low value is not simply texting first, being emotionally available, or expressing love. Healthy vulnerability is not weakness. Generosity is not low value. The pattern appears when you repeatedly betray yourself in exchange for temporary connection. It is saying yes while resentment grows inside you. It is accepting confusion because clarity might end the relationship. It is offering loyalty to someone who has offered only potential. It is lowering a boundary every time another person refuses to respect it. It is performing peace while your inner world is screaming. When a woman integrates her shadow, she can no longer maintain this arrangement. The anger she once buried becomes information. The intuition she dismissed becomes guidance. The standards she apologized for become a form of self-respect. This is what begins happening within you. You do not suddenly believe you are better than everyone else. You simply stop behaving as though everyone else is more important than you are. This is the real transformation behind the idea of becoming a high-value woman. Your value has not increased. Your relationship with your value has changed. You no longer negotiate against yourself. You notice inconsistency without inventing excuses for it. You listen to words, but you trust patterns. You allow people to reveal what they are capable of giving, and instead of turning that revelation into a renovation project, you make a decision. That is dark feminine discernment. It is quiet because you do not need to announce every boundary before enforcing it. It is magnetic because your energy is no longer scattered across attempts to manage other people's perceptions. It is powerful because you are willing to lose anything that requires your self-abandonment. This willingness changes the way others experience you. Before, the fear of being left may have made you predictable. A little distance could make you chase. A little approval could make you overgive. A vague promise could keep you waiting. Now, you can feel desire without becoming ruled by it. You can love someone without surrendering your judgment. You can experience disappointment without turning it into proof that you are unworthy. You are no longer controlled by the possibility of being chosen because you have already chosen yourself. This does not mean you become unreachable or begin playing games. Games are still a form of dependence because the player remains preoccupied with producing a reaction. Integrated feminine power does not ask, "How do I make them chase me?" It asks, "Is this connection worthy of my participation?" That is the difference between performance and sovereignty. A woman performing dark feminine energy may delay responses, manufacture jealousy, or pretend not to care. But a woman who has integrated her dark feminine does not need to pretend. You respond when it is authentic. You speak when there is something worth saying. You leave when remaining would violate your deepest truth. Your silence is not punishment. Your distance is not bait. Your boundary is not a negotiation tactic. These are expressions of inner alignment. Jung's process of individuation was not about becoming perfect. It was about becoming whole by bringing unconscious parts of the psyche into conscious relationship. For you, wholeness means making room for both tenderness and severity, compassion and discernment, openness and protection. You do not kill the loving woman within you. You give that woman a guardian. You do not stop believing in people. You stop using belief as a substitute for evidence. You do not stop forgiving. You learn that forgiveness does not require continued access. You do not stop wanting partnership. You stop sacrificing yourself to avoid being alone. And this is often the stage where your life becomes quieter. Some relationships fall away because they were sustained by your over-functioning. Some people call you changed because they can no longer benefit from your old wounds. Others accuse you of thinking too highly of yourself because your previous self made them comfortable. At first, you may feel lonely. The old persona had a job: keep everyone pleased so you would never be abandoned. When you release that job, your nervous system may interpret freedom as danger. But you stay. You stay with the discomfort of not explaining. You stay with the silence after saying no. You stay with yourself when external validation disappears. Every time you do, you prove that rejection will not destroy you. Disapproval will not erase you. Solitude will not diminish you. This is how your dark feminine becomes embodied. Not through aesthetics, mysterious performances, or slogans, but through repeated acts of self-loyalty. Eventually, you understand that what looks like high value from the outside is wholeness on the inside. You're not more desirable because you learn the correct strategy. You're more compelling because you are no longer divided against yourself. Your yes contains truth because your no is available. Your love carries weight because it is freely given, not anxiously offered. Your presence becomes powerful because you are no longer begging to be perceived. And perhaps this is the deepest lesson. You do not own your dark feminine energy when you convince the world that you are valuable. You own it when you no longer require the world's agreement. You stop acting low value the moment you stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. You stop chasing the people who activate your wounds and begin listening to the wisdom those wounds contain. You reclaim the anger that protects you, the intuition that guides you, the standards that preserve you, and the silence that returns you to yourself. You do not become someone new. You become unavailable for the life that required you to forget who you were, and when you finally reach that point, you're not difficult to love. You are simply impossible to love without truth. This is the sovereign path. Until next time, keep walking your sovereign path.